So here's the heart. Coming out of the heart, now here's the anatomy for the cat, and the anatomy for humans is a little bit different. This is still a little bit of the pericardium. I cut it away. There's part of the pericardial sac. So there's the heart. This big pipe right there is the aorta. It doesn't ascend very far. Remember the heart, it forms like a U-turn really quickly, and then all of this is aorta that's in the chest. So that would be called the thoracic or the descending aorta right there. So the aorta itself is just this pipe right here. That's it. On our hearts, we have 3 tubes that originate off the aorta. The cat only has 2. The plumbing's a little bit different. This first big pipe right there that begins right off the aorta and ends right about here, that is called the brachiocephalic artery. So it comes off of the aorta and heads up towards the right forelimb and towards the head. The first branch right here, see where there's a pink pipe that's coming off of there? That pink pipe, if we follow it, goes underneath this blue tube. This is the windpipe, by the way, parallels the windpipe to this vessel, and that is an external or common carotid artery, a common carotid. So the first branch off of the brachiocephalic is called the common carotid. And I'm not going to do lefts and rights on any of these vessels. There's only one vessel that has a left as part of its title. Everything else you don't have to worry about lefts and rights on. And the same on the chart.
So in both of those locations where your probe is, it's the common carotid?
First, from here to here, this is brachiocephalic. From here to there is brachiocephalic. And then, yeah, where I had the probe, pardon me, you're right. So starting from here, underneath that tube and all the way up there, that's all common carotid. So there's one on one side of the windpipe, which looks like that vacuum cleaner hose. If we follow the brachiocephalic up, it continues up. Underneath this blue tube, underneath the blue tube, it branches into 2 vessels. There's another branch that parallels the other side of the windpipe that's also a common carotid, but it's on the opposite side. So there's actually a left and a right common carotid. You would just need to call them common carotids. In human anatomy, this common carotid does not come off the brachiocephalic. This tube actually anchors to the aorta. You guys have noticed on the human chart and on the heart model, there are 1, 2, 3 pipes that come off of our aorta. There's a brachiocephalic, a left common carotid, and a left subclavian. So the cat's a little bit different. Right here, the only difference is this common carotid artery does not come off the aorta. It comes off a vessel called the brachiocephalic that then divides. So there's one common carotid. Go up a little bit further, there's a second common carotid that begins right here and continues all the way up to the neck. Probably right there is where it got cut. See that string? That's a string, Lily, that was cut. So a cut was made, the blood was drained out, and then once the latex was injected, tied off so it wouldn't leak out. What's left of that pink tube then, right here, goes underneath the armpit. And the name for your armpit is called the axilla. So that's called the subclavian, pardon me, we got to go under the clavicle first. So right here, as soon as it's branched off from that common carotid, that is called the subclavian, beneath the clavicle, which would have been here, and the bone has been taken out. As we get a little bit further along on that pink tube, it goes into the armpit area. The armpit area would be the axillary artery. And the furthest pink tube you can see out in the arm of the cat, way out there, that would be the brachial artery. And there's other little red tubes, arteries that branch off of it at different points, which is where you know where one starts and one stops. So there's 3 names for those vessels. Can you give me another probe, please, Maria? I just don't want to reach over and glop up the table again. So right here, where this vessel originates off of where the common carotid, that would be subclavian, right, as soon as it branches off there. If I'm halfway out to the brachial artery, that would be the axilla, armpit, and then brachial. Okay, let's follow the other main tube. This other large red tube that comes off the heart is called the subclavian, right there. It continues up, and it would continue as the subclavian. Underneath right here is where the clavicle would be. Now, this is where the red vessel kind of got busted out here as well before it came to me. I didn't have access to this, but there would have been the same names. There'd be an axillary in the armpit, and I didn't dissect this out too far, but you guys see that pink tube down there? That would be a brachial artery down there. So way out in the arm is brachial. So the names are the same. The far out in arms you can get is brachial, come in towards the armpit, and you would have axillary, And then if I want subclavian, I'll be way down here in this one tube all by itself. So I'll point, you name. Okay, first big tube comes off the heart, only goes up a little bit and then hangs at 180 south. It's called the
Aorta.
first major branch off the aorta,
Subclavian?
brachiocephalic.
Oh, brachiocephalic. And then
Okay, first branch off the brachiocephalic up the left side of the windpipe is the common carotid, there and there. Keep following the brachiocephalic. The second major branch goes up the other side of the windpipe. It is also a.
common carotid.
What's left is under the clavicle called,
Subclavian.
in the armpit it's called,
Axial.
and way out in the arm it's called.
Brachial.
Beautiful. Let's do the other major. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, so the subclavian comes off the aorta on one side and off of the
Brachiocephalic on the other.
on the other.
And on our body, it comes off of the aorta on one side, just like it does on the cat. The subclavian would come off of the brachiocephalic on a human as well. Our brachiocephalic, when it comes up, has the right common carotid and the subclavian, because this other common carotid comes off the aorta all by itself. So if this were a human, instead of this jumping into the brachiocephalic here, it would remain as a separate tube all the way to the aorta. So that's the only really difference in plumbing between us and a cat.
So when you ask for the subclavian though, you're gonna be down here?
I shall put a point on it. Yeah, if I point down, if I stick a pin in this vessel right there, you would say subclavian.
So you're not gonna ask for it?
Or if I did up there, if I stuck a pin there, that would also be subclavian. So either of those would be subclavian.
And so it's the brachiocephalic on that side.
Correct.
Until it splits into
Until
the
it splits.
subclavian and common carotid.
Correct. Yeah. So it's brachiocephalic, and then the first branch is the common carotid, continues as brachiocephalic until you get your next common carotid. Then what's left is subclavian, axillary, brachial.
Okay.
All right.